Actually have Agent Runick for you today. So happy to see that this deck is showing up outside the Zodiac tournament. We have Eldlich, Cyber Dragons, and a couple more of our YCS favorites you missed. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So you always wondered about the concept of what can we do with Runick next? You know, what is the next crazy thing that we can bring to the table? Well, in the Zodiac Monthly, I always see this one duelist bringing the power of agents combined with Runick, because it basically gives you a form of interruption package, while the agent package lets you go through these crazy synchro lines of play. And basically what ended up happening here was they ended up winning a regional flight with this. And it honestly caught my attention because you don't really see this deck doing anything. I mean, outside of this, I believe I've seen maybe 1 to 2 people ever touch the concept of this. But basically, you also have the Sprite package in here as well. So basically, all of the ideas that kind of come with this, it's all going to be a constantly flowing package of raw advantage, especially, you know, when you get to the gigantic Sprite package or, you know, the Slosh Sprint engine, and you're able to go ahead and special on out the secondary little part. It kind of starts to get crazy, actually. To be honest with you, I think the board typically can end on what, like an Appaloosa, maybe slash IP to go into the Appaloosa, with a Baron typically, and then whatever sub-advantage that we are going to be generating out here with the Runick stuff. It does require a lot of key points to hit. Droll can be a minor inconvenience, and if anything happens to the Venus, you typically go into a pretty bad position. So it's not like it's going to be all smoke and mirrors. You know, it's going to be the craziest thing in the world. No, you do have choke points like a lot of decks, and I think that's like probably the most important thing to understand is like the deck looks conceptually broken on paper, but it does have very weak points. So kind of cool to see though that this is actually doing well. Next up here we have Eldlich, the Golden Lord. I actually love the fact that not once but twice now we have kind of seen the Golden Lord doing his thing over the weekend here, and I think a lot more people have kind of underestimated the power of the Golden Boy. Well, here's the thing. You still have been seeing a lot more of these builds playing Destruction because it is still a mill 2 off of the opponent's deck. Eldlich, I mean, it can handle no battle phase, but it does need the ability to kind of spot removal certain threats. Like, well, let's call it what it is at this point in time. It's why you choose to play this card. Now, the other big thing is, you know, what's the point of this when the Golden Lord can do things? You do have to have some sort of immediate, you know, follow-up. Also, to be fair, this does give you some chum blocking options that you might not necessarily have considered, because, you know, not only do you get the ability to, you know, bring out or pop a special summon, having the extra body on the field can help with some of the more climbing aspects of things that you could use. Now, I mean, we don't have a lot of craziness here, but free Hugin access into a Lina could, I mean, save your day. So outside of that, I think this build does need a little bit of work, especially down here in the extra deck. There's definitely a lot of link climbing stuff that they could have used a lot better. I do like the fact that this build is playing Shifter, but this is, like I said, now we've seen 2 Eldlich variants as of late, and that means that people are actually messing around with the Golden Lord again. I mean, Labyrinth has not been seeing a crazy amount of play. I mean, it's still 3rd, 4th best deck in the room, but it's because so many other people are playing so many other things, and the amount of decks representative have kind of gone down. Overall, it means that the Golden Lord's kind of getting some more of those random RNG matchups that tend to help it actually do its thing. Good stuff. I like this. Next up here, Cyber Dragons. You know, I'm not going to lie. Cyber Dragon's one of those decks that you kind of look at this point in time and you're like, how? What is your game plan? You know, what is it that you want to go about here? You know, what is the best way to kind of, you know, round out your matchups? Well, it looks like a few more people. It's still kind of the same thing we've seen recently, though. Like in the last 3 to 4 months, if Cyber Dragons had done well, it's usually because of Clockwork Knight here. turning your opponent's entire field into machines and then doing the sweep up, 9,000 vacuum cleaner to literally trap the monsters in the jar known as Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the builds have also been playing a lot of duality, and I mean a lot of duality. Like this card actually is pretty strong in this deck. It's really funny because the last anime support that we got ended up just being crazy fine power-ups for the Cyber Dragon Duelist out there. Still only playing the one copy of Overflow. Still think the card is pretty strong, but a lot of players, they're not going to adapt towards this because they don't really have a reason to want to try to bulk down on more bricks necessarily in the deck. I see that we do have 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Do not try to play 3 right now. The Robbie 3's up. No, it's not. Stop it. Alright, if you're trying to play 3, you're just asking for an incredibly bad timeout here. But overall, there's really nothing else to talk about. Ratios for the deck look correct. And that means that if things on paper look like they're going to flow very well, then the deck should probably go very, very well overall. But it's still Cyber Dragons. You still have problems in the meta. Unfortunately, things you can't really round out. Next up here, we have the power of Cached Hera with this card still seeing play. Now, the first thing I do want to tell you here, who would have thought that walking, talking Macrocosmo deck would kind of be lurking back around in the format right now? Well, first thing I could tell you right here is Fenrir is a stupid good card. If anybody in the room tells you that Fenrir is not a broken card, yeah, they're doing it wrong. So this is one of the variants of the deck that topped the YCS over the past weekend. Players have been trying to find ways to kind of get this deck to still work. And I mean, yeah, you still have Shingar Era to do some zone locking. It's nowhere as consistent as it once was. I can tell you that. But that's, massive concern for, Birth is still amazing. Theosis free special summon extensions. Rise Heart might not get the best value anymore, but with what you're left with down here for your toolbox, the deck should be able to kind of clear off fields and get you into a pretty decent game-winning position. I think that's the thing that people kind of underestimate. They're like, they lost Rise Heart, like the deck is bad. No, it's just, it has to work a lot harder for things. I saw another build that was playing Dimensional Fissures in the main deck, and you were kind of using those as option points to kind of clear up things that the opponent might be doing. So cards that you can pressure your opponent with typically will probably be the better choices, kind of considering, what you need to do for the meta. Outside of that, it's all within the realm of expectations. I guess maybe more of the tech choice slots here might feel a little bit weird, but I think the build feels pretty fine outside of that. So that is Cached Hera. It's kind of nice to see, this deck still finding innovation out here, because now the deck's control deck. And our last list here, that's right, somebody played Dinomorphia, and that is 33 trap cards in the deck. And yes, that is Soul of the Supreme King, special summon a Zark. This build was actually doing some really weird things here because they actually were playing the big Zark here. Remember, this face down card must be either fusion summon or special summon by tributing a level 12 Supreme King Zark. If special summoned from the extra deck, you place one pendulum monster from your extra deck in your pendulum zone. You're never really going to do this, but it's just the fact that you can bring out Arcray here and just do your thing with it. The crazy ideas that were really possible. Also, let's call it what it is at this point in time. You can also bring this out because, this is always treated... this is always treated as Supreme King's Arc. So yeah, you could technically Soul the Supreme King and then bring out good old Arcray here and start doing some cheesy little plays. Yeah, we've come full circle here. Our Dinomorphia cards actually have gotten way more insane in terms of the little things that they shouldn't be able to do. But alas, this is where we are right now with how things are going. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed with how these decks are trying to find different ways and innovations to kind of keep up with today's meta. So what do you guys think about these decks? Please, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.